Hello and welcome to the Vicar's Wife's Frugal Life, our wrapping episode. I am Rhiannon, the Vicar's Wife. I'm also a mum, an opera singer, a musician, a teacher, and this is Zizi, who is a full-time greyhound. Boy, before you freak out that I've dressed my dog up, greyhounds get very cold in the winter, for they are desert dogs, so he has a coat in the winter, and this is his winter coat, which is also makes him look very, very festive. So well done, Zizi. Right, so let's start off. The first thing I want you to do for your wrapping is to reuse what you already have. I have this rather dashing pair of Christmassy pyjama bottoms that neither fit nor are comfortable and have several unsightly stains. So I'm going to cut one of the legs off. I'm using fabric scissors because it's quicker, but just use whatever scissors you've got. We're not being fancy here. So here I have a fabric leg. So I'm now going to cut down one side of the leg. Bear with, bear with. I've cut down the trouser leg as well, which gives me a nice big piece of wrapping paper. Now, if you're feeling fancy, you can hem it. To be honest, I'd probably just keep it like this. Probably a little neater than this, but again, I cut it in about 3 seconds on camera. I'm going to use another piece just for now. So this is an old pillowcase. Again, if you're fancy, you can iron it, but I'm not doing that. You place your piece down. Oh, I'm going to kneel up for this one. Here I've got a little box. It's a cigar box that I was given by my mother-in-law a couple of years ago. And I'm going to wrap it just the way I would with any other piece of wrapping paper. So, I don't tend to cut things to size. I have some smaller pieces and some larger pieces that I use for different presents, and they just tend to fit. If they're too big, you can just fold them over a couple of times. Now, if you're not hemming your piece of fabric, which I don't, and you get a little frayed edge, you can just fold it under before you fold it over again. And a lot of people do that when they're wrapping presents anyway. So I'm sure Mr. Bean would if he were in Love Actually. So we're going to fold it over like that. Lovely. And then we're going to fold these edges in. In fact, I'm going to fold this over once. It's very soothing, this. And remember, because it's not paper, it's not going to break. It's not going to do anything annoying. I'm going to put a pair of scissors on it now to hold it down. I'm going to do this side. So what are you doing for Christmas? Are you, or for whatever else you're celebrating? Are you planning to see family this month? Have you got lots of friends coming over? Are you having a quiet one by yourself? What are you up to? People always ask us what we're up to, especially parishioners say, what are you doing for Christmas? I always find it a strange question because, of course, we are staying at home for Christmas so that we can work. Because we work on Christmas Day. Well, my husband works on Christmas Day and I work by association. So I'm now going to take a piece of ribbon. This piece of ribbon, I'm not sure where it came from. I think it came around a bunch of flowers I was given once. Lucky me. But start collecting ribbon. I hoard the stuff. So whenever you get a ribbon on a bunch of flowers, a gift, an old Christmas decoration, just anything, you'll start finding ribbons. Gift bag handles, they often have good ribbons. So I'm now going to use this ribbon just like I'd use any other ribbon. But the important thing is that you do need a ribbon or a piece of string or some wool or anything else you can find. Doesn't need to be fancy, because that is what's going to keep all the fabric together. So here we go. So I'm going to tie a nice bow. It's a lot of pressure wrapping on camera. Do you know, since doing these videos, I have realised that those folks at Blue Peter are, I mean, not that I didn't think they were wonderful before, but they're quite incredible. So look at that. That is a nice little bow there. Just like that. Now, I've got these long ends, and in all honesty, if I were doing it again, and if I weren't on camera right now, I'd probably decide to redo the ribbon because it is a little long, so I just wrap it round twice, and then it's the right length, so you don't need to cut it. But look at that. That's a pretty little present. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are feeling fancy, you can do something like this, and you can take a photograph. Let me take my photograph. And here is a bit of tree from outside. And I'm going to tuck those in. And look how pretty! that is. Wait a moment, bear with. Look, and that is a picture of the vicar and I the weekend we got engaged. I proposed to him with a chorus of 30 opera singers, but who wouldn't like to receive that? Now, other options. Of course you can buy fabric, but the Environment Agency, I looked up the thing on paper and plastic bags versus cotton, and actually to use a paper bag versus a plastic bag, you need to use the paper bag 3 times to have the same carbon footprint, essentially, the way they work it out. That's also a single-use plastic bag. To have a cotton bag, so the production of fabrics, especially cotton, and organic cotton is included in this, it's still cotton, is over 130 times. 130 times compared to a plastic bag. Please reuse fabrics before buying. You can have a look on eBay. You can get creative. It doesn't have to be scrap fabric. It could be an old duvet cover. You could make enough fabric parcels to, I don't know, cover 20 presents if you went on eBay and bought an old bed sheet that was in a relatively Christmassy colour. But look at what you have in your home first, then have a look on eBay, have a look in charity shops, and only then consider buying new, is my advice. But you've got to go and live your life. So that's number 1. Lovely little fabric wrap presents. And look, oh, here's one I made earlier as well. Isn't it pretty? Lovely, lovely. The other thing I get asked is, what do you do if you're not seeing that person on Christmas Day or their birthday or whenever you're giving them the gift, so you can't sneakily take back the fabric? Well, you have a few options. Number 1, you can reuse wrapping paper. So here is some wrapping paper I got last Christmas. It's a bit crumpled, it's got some bits of sellotape on it, but it's definitely suitable for being reused. And yes, I know there's some glitter on it, but remember, it's better for me to keep reusing this and not sending it to landfill than it is for me to just throw it away and pretend it doesn't exist, okay? Here I've got one that is actually plastic. Again, someone gave me a gift and it was beautiful. I enjoyed it, I enjoyed the gift, but I've got the wrapping left over. Instead of using, if you're very clever at folding, and you can look up a nice YouTube video on how to fold paper beautifully so that you don't need to use sellotape. But if you do prefer to use tape, I recommend using washi tape, paper tape. Comes on a paper roll, it's made from paper, fully recyclable. You can do that. Gift tags, old Christmas cards. So these are just Christmas cards that I've cut up, and for me the gift tag is my favourite bit about Christmas. I love writing little riddles. Riddles sounds very grand, but little clues to what might be in the present, and I love reading them the next year actually when you find them sort of scattered in the present bag. So that's another idea, old Christmas cards. I'm sure lots of people's grandmas are doing that all over the country. The second thing, if you don't want to reuse paper or you don't have any paper to reuse, use newspaper. Now, I think this is a very prettily wrapped gift. It's a book, and this is just a piece of newspaper from the Financial Times that we happen to have a copy of, hanging around that someone had left. You could have a look at finding a metro that someone's left on a train. You don't even need to buy a newspaper because, again, I realise the hypocrisy of don't buy wrapping paper, just buy newspapers. Anyway, we're all making changes. So that is an idea, and that's a really cool gift to receive in the post, and that way that paper can just be recycled. I've wrapped it just using a piece of wool. If you want to use something compostable, I would suggest jute twine. Jute twine is compostable. It's very, very cheaply available. You can get it at garden centres, ironmongers, things like that. It costs you about £1 for a big old roll. And you can also knit your own washcloths with it. Not washcloths, but sort of things to clean plates with. I'll make a video about it sometime this month. So I really recommend wrapping in newspaper if you're sending things off. And you can look for sort of nice adverts or something to have a nice one. That was just the first page I found, but I think it's really pretty. The other option is that you make gift bags out of the cloth that you've harvested. Second-hand cloth. This is one that was made by my friend Kerry. Hi Kerry! And she's even been fancy and lined it. She's a very clever lady. And then you can just pop in your present if you're not one to fold, but you can sew straight on a sewing machine. And look, ukulele wrapped. All right, it's poking out the top, but let's not split hairs about it. So there we go. Now, a final idea, if you're wrapping something very small, is this. A toilet roll, I hear you cry. Well, yes, it is a toilet roll, and it can be made into a pretty gift box. So what you do is you flip down one side like that. Ugh. Right, let's flip it down a bit more. Eek. There we go. And then you flip down the other side. Just like that. Excellent. It's a very exact science, this, you can tell. Here's one I made earlier. Lovely. And then you flip down the other side. And you flip down the other side. And there you have a little gift box. Of course, it doesn't look very nice at the moment. I'm going to put in 2 wine glass charms, which were something that I found next to me that would actually fit into it. So you pop those in your little box, and then you can close it up. And then, where's a piece of ribbon that would fit this? Where's the ribbon? Where's the ribbon? Here's the ribbon. I'm just going to use this. This is a very long piece of ribbon, so you'd probably want to find a shorter one. So you just wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up a few times. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And another one. I'll just do a singing interlude. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your years be bright. Someday soon it all will come and turn out right. We hope. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Here we go. So then I'm going to tie a little bow on it. Oh, and please, guys, I'm trying to dash this off while the baby's having a nap before I've got to go to work. So please don't judge. I'm doing this very quickly just to give you some ideas. All right. So a smaller piece of ribbon or wool would have been much better in this case. But that's very sweet. And you can pop that in a little bag if you've got one hanging around. All these little bags that we get gifts in, hang on to them, put them in a big old bag, and look, that's so pretty. That's a lovely present. And I haven't bought anything to wrap it in. I just use things that I've already had lying around the house. So that is that. My final thing is, how do you wrap giant presents? A lot of us with kids, they tend to get sort of large things, bikes and whatever. So I'm going to show you now. Bear with. So here I have a rocking horse that was given to my son by a friend of ours, very kindly. Thank you very much. He loves it. Ooh. And also an old tablecloth that my mum actually picked up, thanks mum, from a second-hand shop in France. So we're just gonna wrap it in the tablecloth. Here we go. Or the bed sheet or whatever. And remember, it doesn't have to be Christmassy, it can be anything. All kids want to do is open a massive present, don't they? Is this even going to fit? Who knows? So, it's not neat, it's not beautiful, but it is wrapped. And let's face it, if you've got kids and they come down on Christmas morning, the first thing they're going to want to do is open their giant presents. So that took me 10 seconds, and I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I got all sorts of things wrapped up in blankets to save on the paper. So thank you so much if you've gotten this far. Congratulations, hang on in there. I hope you've got a few useful ideas, tips and tricks for your wrapping needs this holiday, festive, Christmassy season. One thing I will do is I will put my links down to the information and some of the numbers I gave around plastic versus paper versus cotton production, because that will give you some food for thought, hopefully. I haven't just plucked those numbers out of the air, I did look them up. But the final thing I want to say is that whilst it's easy to get obsessed with, oh, what am I wrapping my presents in? The most important thing is what you're putting in the present itself. So, number one, you don't need to buy a present for everyone. You can make a donation to a charity. I'm going to put a few charities down in the box below. Crisis at Christmas is one that's one of our favourite charities, that they provide a Christmas experience for a homeless person, so a hot meal, a bed, entertainment. They can have a great old time and at least be off the streets even if they're not having a great old time. That's number one. Another charity that our church supports is Glass Door, which opens up the doors of churches for people who are currently homeless to come and have a bed for the night, a community for the evening, a hot meal, and there's also a caseworker to help those who wish to get off the streets to have other tools in order to make that happen. So if you don't want to make a charitable donation, or you feel that a gift is really necessary, then number one, make something with stuff you've already got at home. 2, shop secondhand, hit the charity shops, hit eBay, Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is amazing, it's really taken off and I love it. So shop secondhand, shop local, and then shop ethical. All right, that's it from me. Thank you so much for staying with me right to the very end. Please, if you want more videos like this, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, whatever it is, love affirmation, and also hit subscribe, because that lets me know that this thing might have some longevity and it might get me off my butt and do more videos. So in the meantime, I leave you with some of my lovely wrapped presents. Ooh, beautiful. Aren't they so lovely? Zizi, what do you think? He's gone. He's just fed up. Have a lovely Christmas. Bye. A Christmas present? For me? What is it? Oh, so lovely. What's inside? Oh, look, this fabric's so lovely. It's so luxurious. How lovely. Oh, it's a copy of Butler's Lives of the Saints. Oh, thank you. I really enjoy reading that. Have a nice Christmas. Bye.